I think it's all right.
It's fire set to help fires on the Skeecheson First Nation in central BC. Joe Gilchrist ignites sagebrush in a slow and calculated procedure.
So what it does, it gets rid of the fuel that's available in the summertime for wildfire. And so it won't stop the fire, but it'll lessen the impact of a wildfire.
Gilchrist is one of about 20 members of the Interior Salish Firekeepers Society, part of a growing movement to reclaim traditional practices.
If we don't light it, Mother Nature will find a way, whether it's a lightning strike or some accident, something that'll happen.
Recent years have seen devastating wildfires, like the one that consumed the community of Lytton. The charred remains of BC forests are a motivation for some to come up with ways to prevent it.
Well, the risk of wildfire, I think, outweighs the risk of an escaped fire, and we really tried to mitigate that risk by having planning processes in place.
William Nikolakis is a UBC forestry professor and part of the Gathering Voices Society. Together with Chilcotin leaders, the group is working to reignite cultural practices. In the past 3 years, they have gone from burning 15 hectares to 250 and employ more than 50 people.
We're seeing really positive results from community members on what's growing back, and it's green during the summer now, instead of it being overgrown and lots of dead woody debris.
But without permits, this burning can only happen on reserve and in some traditional territories. Advocates say it's not enough to protect vulnerable communities. They say the province needs to invest more money and resources in the practice.
42% of the communities in Canada experiencing evacuation are Indigenous nations. Yet Indigenous people are often kept out of any of the discussion around wildfire management, despite being the most highly impacted.
The families burned the land off to get rid of that old growth and to bring back this new growth that you see right now.
So we can see some of the marks, I guess, on the trees and this post that would have been from that burn?
Yeah.
And it's the knowledge Gilchrist learned from his family he wants to bring to the discussion.
I could remember my great aunt saying that that fire is a cleanser to Mother Earth, like water is a cleanser to our bodies, the human body. Fire does the same thing for Mother Earth.
Taking back the ways of the past to protect the future. Renee Filipponi, CBC News on the Skeecheson First Nation.
Now, the future is precisely the thing I want to talk about with Lytton First Nation Councillor John Hogan. Councillor Hogan, thank you for making the time to speak with us. I would like to start with the present, though, if we could. All this time after the fire, rebuilding still hasn't even begun in earnest. So who's living there now, and what does life look like where you are?
Well, life looks a lot different because we have limited access to our community. There was the atmospheric river in November changed a lot of things in how we got to our community. So there's been a lot of highway construction east and west of us on the Trans-Canada, and there's load restrictions on Highway 12 towards Lillooet. So there are people back in the community, but they have really no access to medical or dental care and pharmacies and those kind of things.
And of course, the great cruelty here is that I know that, the rebuilding process takes time. There's the assessment, the demolition, the cleanup, the planning of the construction, but on top of that, you're having to grapple with the prospect of another summer of scorching hot temperatures. Does your community have what it needs to prevent another disaster?
We can't really say we have what we need, but we are doing our best to limit the risk of another wildfire, and all other people that are involved in doing transport and those things to our community, as well as the province, has to collaborate with us to minimize all of those risks that prevent wildfires from happening and creating disasters.
And you mentioned that collaboration with the province. Is there meaningful collaboration between the government and First Nations on exactly how to go about preventing a worst-case situation from repeating itself?
It's been talked about. We really have to see the focus on working together and putting all of our different resources and inventorying what we have and who's trained to do the different tasks and those things, because there's so much more risk of wildfires in BC as we go forward. There's just horrendous possibilities of further wildfires.
One last question before I let you go, Councillor Hogan. How are you emotionally coping with everything that's happened?
I'm okay, but today we've had a lot of media requests and people are on the ground and people are wanting to talk to people to see how they are. And that's the thing, is all people are at different levels, and we've been doing our best to accommodate and work with people to see that they're safe and see that they have a place to come home to and those kind of things. So I really congratulate all of those people that have been working really hard and doing their best efforts to get people back to comfort and safety.
Completely understandable. Councillor Hogan, thank you for making the time to speak with us. I do appreciate that.
Thank you, Andrew Chang.